Welcome to the first ever Fatherhood Unity Month brought to you by CBMA, Campaign for Black Male Achievement, Good Fathers Only, and the Daddy Talk podcast. We're celebrating fathers, fatherhood. This is Legacy Week. Then I had to bring on my friend and brother, John Conyers III. Welcome, John.
Thank you for having me. How you doing?
Real good, real good. Just checking in. It's been a while since I saw you last. We was actually at a fatherhood event.
Yep.
Yeah, we were at a fatherhood event, and just excited about this opportunity because your dad was one of my favorite people, and looks like me and you are building a decent relationship. And I just wanted to really have this during Legacy Week to make sure that people get an idea of what a legacy looks like. And you're the seed of a legacy. And so I want to jump right in and get to some of these questions so we can, get this show on the road. If you don't mind, tell us what it was like to have your dad in your life.
Well, I mean, to be quite frank and to be honest, I think there's an assumption or it's an assumed that my dad was like very, very active in my life for the majority of my life, and that's not the case. So I think one of the things that when we talk about fatherhood, the most important thing to me in fatherhood is accountability. Because me and my dad didn't really have a good relationship until I turned 21 because he was always working and traveling. So like whether that was me at school, like maybe when I was 5 to maybe to like, I guess first grade, I remember him taking me to school. And then my mom moved to Oklahoma because she was in law school. And so obviously my dad was still doing his thing. So it was just my mother and I in Oklahoma. And then maybe third grade to fourth grade, he was still taking me to school. But after that, it was mostly my mom. And he was very like, that was a time where he was very, very much so in the thick of the Bush era, that presidency. So he wasn't around a lot. And I'm like, if we're going to have this conversation, I'm going to be honest with you about who my father was to me, not what people think or the type of father they think he was. He wasn't involved. That's just plain, like
right.
Many weekends not there. But I think for me, once I realized, right, because I was so accustomed to him not being around, I didn't really realize what I was missing out on until I got to college, really. And then I started hearing, talking to my friends about, or not even talking to my friends, but seeing their relationships with their fathers, them calling their dads or their dads calling them, and have the frequency of the interaction, of the communication. And that's when I think it really got, our relationship even got worse from like 18 to 19, even to 20. And then I just confronted him. I remember one time I confronted him and he wasn't receptive to it. He was like, I was like, you haven't been involved. You asked me about things whether it's something that I've already done, something I've already considered, or something I've already told you about, and you don't remember that we had a conversation about it. But then when I brought it up to him then, and it was like a so what kind of thing. But then at 21, maybe a year and a half later, he was like, so where do we go from here? He took accountability and admitted like, hey, I was focused on my, the things that I cared about. I was focused on the community. I was focused on being the best at my calling. So that was the shift. So I think from 21 to, last year when he passed, that's the closest we've ever been, because he became my best friend through being accountable for his absence. And I think there is a misnomer or misunderstanding that just being present is enough in fatherhood or motherhood for that matter, right? That is not the case. Like, it's actually taking an interest in your kids and talking to them about what they're doing and what you're doing, and have them have an understanding of what you're doing. Because I didn't care about politics when he was involved in it. My interest in politics, while I have a wealth of knowledge because of the access that I had to DC, right? My interest in politics and my own politics are not very informed by my father. They're much more informed by the things that I lived with and that
Right.
I have an understanding, like my life, the things that
Right.
the way I grew up. So they are, while we both have an interest, the reasoning behind it isn't like, oh, your dad's John Conyers, so of course you went into politics or you're going to go into
Right.
politics. That is not the case at all. That's a misconception. That is a very common misconception.
Right. Right. Which